Well, hello, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of Xbox One-on-One. I am your host, or at least one of your hosts, Mr. BoomStick XL. And listen, in the world of content creation, you have to be able to pivot. And, sometimes you spend 3 hours writing a show that gets basically thrown into the shitter, which is exactly what happened today. But to be fair, that show, or all of the notes and all of the topics, will be reused probably next week. They're still relevant and they're original, content. So it's not like there's a time limit. So we're definitely going to be talking about Remedy's 4 to 5 games that they have in development, and a few of the other topics that I originally advertised. What we're here to do today is to break down, discuss openly, of course, without cursing and acting a fool, what Phil Spencer's Xbox Wire article means, not only to the gaming industry, not only to the Bethesda becoming first party, but the Xbox gaming community, how we are personally feeling. And we do have an incredible panel. Everyone, I believe, here is going to have incredible opinions. I think they're going to be very varied. I think they're going to be very different from one another, and I think they all must be respected. So if you're going to be here in the chat, I do ask you that even though someone may be saying something that you don't personally agree with, I would ask that you respect everyone's opinion. And again, if you start getting out of control with the cursing and all caps, I'm not the one that's going to ban you. The sheriff known as Lethal Papa, who's here in the chat, is going to be the one handling the ruffians, if you will. But we want everyone to come here today, and we want everyone to give their opinion on how they are feeling. I did a straw poll. I put it up on my Twitter account. I'm going to drop the link in here a couple of times, and I really want to get the temperature of the room, because quite frankly, I'm very perplexed. But before we get into me actually reading verbatim the article from Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, on Xbox Wire, I want to get into the introductions, because we have an incredible panel. And of course, the first member, who is the co-host to the Xbox One-on-One each and every week, is Zemi Game. Zemi, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you so much, man. And speaking of people that the chat might have a problem with today, that's me. That's me, pretty much. All me. But no, man, I'm super excited to be here. And get to talk about this new Xbox Wire article, man.
Well, listen, there's going to be normally, like this particular weekly program, Zemi and I had designed it as being, maybe 60 minutes. This particular one, because it's such a hot topic, because it's a special edition episode, it's probably going to go longer. I don't think it's going to go longer as 2 hours, but we're definitely going to be giving our opinions. Just hang with us. We already have 100. Oh God, we have 200 people already here. I would say that if you're new to the program, please consider hitting the like button, and of course, subscribing to the Xbox Factor podcast. I've said the Double Barrel Gaming. If you are new to this, a YouTube channel, we definitely would appreciate a sub. And I think, you're going to dig the content. We do 4 live shows a week here. And it's always, we try to keep it positive, but more importantly, we keep it 100. If something is bothering us, we certainly are going to be talking about it. And that is why I scrapped the original written show, because of this particular hot topic. But let's welcome in our 2 guests. And first of all, rookie sensation. His voice from the Xbox Ultimate podcast, and he has been a part of this program numerous times. As a matter of fact, he was on yesterday's show, and he's back again. Pong Soul, welcome, dude.
Good morning, Boom. Man, crazy morning. Obviously, leave it up to Xbox Wire to scrap a whole show and have us talk about something else. But fantastic morning to be here, Boom. Thanks for the invite again. Always love it. Chat, you're already on fire in there. Keep it going, because I think this is going to be one hot show. So let's get into it.
Well, thanks so much for being here as always. Definitely appreciate that. And making his return on loan from PlayStation Nation, Joe, Mr. Badbit, welcome back to the program. Dude, didn't expect you here, but you are always welcome. Joe, you're on mute.
I'm embarrassed. Puerto Rican mother yelling in the background. You know how it is. It's not Xbox 1v1 anymore. Not today, at least.
Yeah.
It's Xbox 2v2.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, you know what? It's funny because I think that really the room is split.
Ooh, is it?
Well, I think so. I think you and Zemi are pretty much in the same camp, which is great. And I think Pong Sol and I are in agreement on a lot of the hot topics. But you know what? I want to go right into why everyone's here. Now, this morning at 6:30 a.m., head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, posted an Xbox Wire article. And it's titled "Publisher of Iconic Gaming Franchises Will Expand Xbox's Diverse Portfolio in Xbox Game Pass." And here is what Phil had to say in this very divisive article. He says this, folks. "This is an exciting day for Xbox. Today, we officially complete the acquisition of ZeniMax Media, parent company to Bethesda Softworks. It's an honor to welcome in the 8 incredibly talented development studios: Bethesda Game Studios, ID Software, ZeniMax Online Studios, Arcane, Machine Games, Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog, and Roundhouse Studios, and their passionate global communities to the Xbox family. Now that everything is official, we can begin working together to deliver more great games to everyone. At every step building towards this moment, I've been inspired and motivated by the creativity, insight, and community-first approach of the talented people at Bethesda. Our goal is to give these teams the best foundation for doing their greatest work, and to learn from them as we continue to build Xbox into an inclusive platform for all players. This is the next step in building an industry-leading first-party studios team, a commitment we have to our Xbox community. With the addition of Bethesda's creative teams, gamers should know that Xbox consoles, PC, and Game Pass will be the best place to experience new Bethesda games, including some new titles in the future that will be exclusive to Xbox and PC players. As we shared previously, it's vitally important that Bethesda continues making great games the way it always has. We look forward to empowering Bethesda's creative teams to reach even more players around the world, helping make future Bethesda titles the biggest and most popular games in their history. Xbox and Bethesda have a long shared and common vision for the future of gaming, both as fans and as creators. Bethesda understands the potential of Xbox Game Pass. We would also like to honor the life and memory of my close friend, Robert A. Altman, founder of ZeniMax Media. Now, that Robert passed away, I believe, early in last month. He says, Robert believed deeply in the power of gaming, and we are privileged to be able to continue his work by joining forces with the teams he built and led for many years. I will miss the opportunity to work directly with him on the future of our combined teams, but I know that his spirit will live on in the shared work we do and motivate us to make this partnership all he envisioned. This is what he closes out the article with, folks. Thank you to all of our players for joining us on this incredible journey, and to the millions of Bethesda fans around the world. Now that we're on one team, we can start working together on the future ahead. We will have more to share about what's next for our teams later this year. In the meantime, to properly celebrate this special moment, we are bringing additional Bethesda games into Xbox Game Pass later this week. Stay tuned for more details. Okay, folks, so here we go. The article has been written verbatim. I've read verbatim. Okay. And the article is well written. I mean, it's from Phil Spencer. He's a very, very smart man. You know how I feel about Phil. I never got a chance to meet him. Hopefully, one day that's going to change for me personally. It would be like the mecca of my gaming career to be able to sit and talk with him. Maybe even potentially interview him in one day. But this article has been read and had numerous people within the industry, numerous people within our circle of friends and content creators. We've seen a lot of people within our circles like Clobriel and Jeff Grubb go out and post some things on Twitter, which we're going to get into a little bit later. But this, in my opinion, is a very divisive article, and I'm going to tell you why. If as an Xbox fan, as someone that bleeds green, as someone that proudly supports multiple consoles but sleeps in my Xbox home each and every night, this article did not do anything for me personally. It for me anyway, after reading it, it raised more questions than it answered exactly what was going to happen with the Bethesda games now being, or the teams being first party. And I think everyone on this panel is going to have a very different opinion. And again, I'm an inclusive human being. I have always have been. I don't like exclusive behavior. I don't like exclusive clubs. But as a semi-business person, what I have come to understand in all of the years before I covered gaming media and you know what's going on around the world in gaming as a content creator, I always understood that exclusives matter. They mattered in '85 when the NES came out. They mattered in '99 when Soul Calibur was a Dreamcast exclusive. They mattered in 2004 when Pick Your Favorite Game was on the GameCube and you couldn't find it anywhere else. And I think it matters in 2021 that exclusives drive sales to your platform. It drives admiration and respect for your said platform. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I have a PlayStation guy here in Joe, who I consider to be family. He understands that when Jim Ryan gets up on stage, when Jim Ryan gets in front of a camera, or he's being interviewed by X Magazine, and there's something for him to say about an exclusive, he goes right to the camera, looks directly into it, and says, X game is exclusive to PlayStation. If you want to play this game, you need to buy a console. And that's the end of the story. We're doing this for our fan base to make you understand that we love you and we want your business, and PlayStation is the best place to play. This article should have done that. This article should have said, all Bethesda games moving forward, unless they're multiplayer or unless they're MMOs, are going to be exclusive to the PlayStation, to the Xbox and to the PC. And see, the difference between what could have been done in this article and what's done on Sony has zero problems telling you that if you want to play said exclusive, like let's say, for instance, Final Fantasy 16, if you want to play that for the next 2 years, well, you're going to have to play it on PlayStation. Otherwise, tough titty. That's what Jim Ryan says in a nutshell. Whereas this article, even though it does have some good information in there, doesn't really tell me that if said game is going to be exclusive. Now, I understand that I'm not going to try and sound like a troll here. I know that Zemi's going to have a different opinion. The Bit's going to have a different opinion. And obviously, Pong Soul's going to have a different opinion. But the biggest problem that Microsoft has is an identity problem, right? When you think of first-party prowess, you don't think of Microsoft. At least I don't, because they haven't had a major 90-plus meta game come out in a very long time. This was an opportunity to get said game from said franchise in Bethesda to be exclusive, to sell your Xbox Game Pass, to sell your new consoles, but more importantly, to sell confidence in your platform. And this article does not sell me confidence. It sells me that we are not sure if we want to piss off a subset of gamers. That's what it sounds like to me. But you know what? I've spoken enough. Zemi, I want to go to you first on this. What are your takeaways from this article?
I think regardless of what side you're on, I think that we can kind of all agree on the fact that regardless of what Xbox's position is on, the exclusivity of Bethesda titles, one side's going to be very, very pissed off, right? And I don't think that posting that in a blog post is probably the greatest way of communicating that information. And I don't think that they're quite ready to communicate that information yet. I do like the blog post in the sense that, it finally gives us that 100% confirmation that Bethesda is Xbox's. And that's pretty much it, right? I mean, they then lob in a bunch of PR speak and whatnot. But I can see from your perspective of why you wanted more. I think a lot of us kind of want this topic to be over, for us to finally know what's happening with Bethesda titles and finally have that information. I most certainly do. I know that you do. But I think that they are going to play for a little bit more time on this. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't, hear about this until, later on, possibly, E3 or, April, May, maybe even, right? In some ways, it possibly wouldn't even shock me if they really just played it like a very, very long game with this. And whenever Starfield came out, they, said whatever it was going to be. And they just kind of continue to do that. Like, maybe they don't actually have a 100% formula based out on the exclusivity, right? Maybe it's, as each game is being developed, they look at where they think it would best be placed to maximize their growth and their revenue, right? So, I don't know if Xbox 100% knows what they're wanting to do. I think that they needed to have some form of article come out and inform the public and the Xbox fans that, they're still working with Bethesda. Bethesda's still a thing. I just don't think that they necessarily have the information or think that right now is the right time to give us that information.
I look, I agree with you. I think everything you said is spot on for sure. But here is my issue. Even though I agree with you, I think what it said, there are a lot of messages being sent with this particular article, and I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of them are not good. When you are a $1 trillion company like Microsoft is, and you've posted a $5 billion net profit or whatever it is for Xbox in the last quarter, you're supposed to know what you're doing next. And unfortunately, this article, like you said, had a lot, and I mean a lot of corporate speak in there, a lot of PR speak. Like I said, as someone who is focused in on the Xbox brand, now, granted, I cover all three platforms with just as much respect for one another. I don't go out of my way not to cover PlayStation because I have a problem with PlayStation. Hell, I talk about PlayStation on an everyday basis because of what they've given me as a fan of the brand. They give me the first party, over-the-shoulder, story-driven, adult-themed games that are graphically appealing to my eye and are important to me as a fan of that brand. So when I buy a PlayStation, I know that I'm going to get said exclusive, which is why I have a PlayStation 5 and everything that goes along with being a fan of that brand. The same thing for Nintendo. I go out of my way to buy their exclusives because I know that this is the only place I can play, which is why I have the said Switch and even bought a new one this year. With Xbox, I understand the value proposition in Game Pass. I get it. I understand that I don't have to buy any of these games. I don't have to spend $70 to play the new Elder Scrolls. And you know what? That's freaking awesome. But here's the thing. Is it enough? Now, one of the things that Nintendo makes their fans feel like is a first-class citizen. One of the things that Sony does is make their fans feel like they matter, like they're number one. I can't say that they made me feel like I was number one on this article. And I think Pong Sol may have something to say about that. Joe, I'm going to come to you in a second. Pong Sol, you read the article, you've read it multiple times, you've heard us talk about it. We had an incredible, I wish we could have recorded what we were talking about behind the scenes in the green room. What did you walk away with reading this article today?
Yeah. So let me start out by saying this. Personally, I don't care because Game Pass, day and date, for me, that's all that matters. I know I'm getting all these games straight out the box, and I know it like they stated in the article, it's going to be the best place to play is going to be on Xbox now that they are first party studios, right? So that's up front. But from a business standpoint, when I look at this, number one, I don't like that they did it this way with a blog post and then Bethesda releasing a small, I think almost 3-minute video about it. I don't think it's enough fanfare for how big of a deal this actually is within the industry itself. And I would like to see them go a little bit further. And I don't know if this means the rumored Thursday, Thursday deal is going to be now taken off, and this is all they're going to do. Like Phil said, we're going to have more to speak on this later in the year. That to me says that, we're not going to have anything else for quite some time on this. And to me, that bothers me because this is, if not the biggest deal in gaming industry history, right? So for me, this should have been given a proper place right out the gates. So I do have an issue with that. As far as the rest of it goes, and like you talked about, Boom, we were discussing this in the green room, is that this, to me, from a business standpoint, comes from a place of indecisiveness. And I think what Microsoft needed to do at this moment in time was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
They have made a powerful move. And if you're going to spend $7.5 billion, I think you need to swing that hammer as hard as you can, right out the box. And I think this blog post left way too much discussion. Again, it didn't solidify or concrete what they are going to do in any way, shape, or form. Now, you can read it multiple different ways, and I've already seen people in the chat, and I've seen people on Twitter already, saying one side saying, well, no, they're still saying exclusives, and then the other side saying, well, we still don't know anything, and this could mean that Starfield isn't exclusive, right? And it leaves way too much open. When you spend this kind of money and you make this kind of statement, especially to your hardcore fan base, which are the ones that read this news and are all in on this stuff, to not come out and say, this is what we are going to do. If we are, we'll get into it. Some other people have had some ideas about this, Jeff Grubb being one of them. But if you are going to have a select set of games that you are going to keep multi-platform, come out and say that.
Yes.
You can define that. And then on the flip side, so let's just say it's the MMO style games, multiplayer games where, a larger fan base is obviously better for everybody. Just come out and say that, and then say that the single player experiences that come from Bethesda are going to be exclusive to Xbox and PC, the Xbox ecosystem. Come out and say that. You can spell that out. I understand Phil doesn't want to box himself in, but you lose nothing by doing that up front. If things didn't go your way this gen, and let's say, 2-3 years down the road, you weren't hitting the Game Pass numbers you thought you were going to, for whatever reason, the exclusivity, the content just didn't work, and people weren't flocking. And from a business standpoint at that time, you have to flip flop and make the decision to change and say,
you
know
pivot.
what?
You pivot on the situation that's been handed to you.
Correct. That's fine. You're going to upset some people at that time, even if it made proper sense, but you lose nothing by doing that, right? That's my problem with this. They are in a position where they have to climb this mountain because of last gen. They put themselves in a hole last gen. They have to grab mind share right now. That is huge in this industry. Again, Sony, Nintendo, they do what they do, and it's never questioned because they have set the expectations up front of what is going to happen when they make a purchase acquisition or when they have a new first party game coming out. We already know we will have to buy that system and get into that ecosystem if we want to play those games. Microsoft should be doing the same thing. Again, opinion, but they should be doing the same thing if they want to drive Game Pass. That exclusive content still has value. Even if I think personally, I would love to have a one console world where there was, I could play everything on one system. It'd be fantastic. It'd be beautiful. But at the same time, that's not how it really works. And like you said, Boom, exclusivity is still important. And I know Microsoft wants to change the game. I know they have all these ideas, and they kind of have already with the whole PC, first party games going to PC. They've changed that narrative, and we no longer think of exclusives as just console exclusives anymore. But at the same time, if you're trying to build the Xbox ecosystem into something as big as they claim they are, that content where you can only get it, just like Disney Plus, just like Netflix, is important. And they have to make that clear to everybody. Hey, we are making a premium service. We know that our customers want experiences that they can only have here, and we have done that. And I think that's what they've lost with this messaging. Now, down the road, could that become clear? Absolutely, of course, it could become clear, but I don't think that's how you do it. Right? You have this big stick like Lethal Papa in the chat. You use that to show people what you mean. And right now, I think this left way too many unanswered questions, and it's going to continue the debate. And I know that our little community, and we're only a small little fraction of a percentage of the gamers out there, but our community is what gets the word of mouth out there going. A lot of people get news from their friends and family that are in this community, and it spreads like wildfire. And if they had come out and made a decisive decision and said, hey, this is what you can expect going forward, that would have spread, and people up front would have known that they had to make a decision that if they wanted to play a game like Starfield or Elder Scrolls 6, they were going to have to commit to the Xbox ecosystem. And like we were talking in the green room, like I said back there, Boom, sometimes you have to force people to make that decision. And you have to have it, you have to have the expectations set up front so that people know what they are going to do when the time comes. When they announce Starfield, we should not have a question of exclusivity. It should have already been known that when they announce Starfield, that's it. It's Xbox, period. And I think that's what they missed out on today.
Yeah, I agree. I also agree 100%. I think that the way that they did it was not the correct way. This is the biggest deal in gaming history. Folks, understand the ramifications of how this is going to change the industry. This is and probably will be until the the unnamed Bethesda level event happens, whether that be Steam, whether that be Square Enix, Capcom, Sega, for instance. We know another big one is going to happen. Microsoft is going to be at the forefront of that conversation once again, though they had an opportunity here, and I think they squandered that opportunity by doing a blog post that, again, was very, very vague. It was a very vague in its nature and how it was constructed. It felt more like he was speaking over me than he was speaking to me. That's my take on it. I mean, I respect Phil tremendously and what he's done for the brand, but I do not like the indecisiveness of what was spoken in this article. I read it aloud, and now that is now the 5th time this morning that I have read it, because I wanted to make sure that when I read it, I didn't sound like a boob. That's most important to me. But 2, so I understood it from a podcasting point of view, so we can have a very solid discussion. Now, Joe, I want to get your opinion on this. This, again, you are someone that understands the business because you are someone that deals with public relations for, in your personal life. It's something you want to do professionally as well. Where do you stand, and what message was relayed to you or conveyed to you at this Xbox Wire article by Phil Spencer?
So I think what you guys stated, I think the one thing we can all agree on is this post was way too vague, right? It was. And vaguety with purpose. If it was all games are exclusive, they would have just said it.
Right.
Like this means what I've been saying for months. This is, if you want Microsoft to throw the punch, this is not the company for you. They're not. They're never going to be. They're not that type of company, because this rings the same feelings I had when we saw Windows products come to iPad for the first time, back when there was like that Microsoft v Apple thing. It was Microsoft saying, okay, this is the platform and we're just going to put these things on here. And what ended up happening was they made boatloads of money. And that's what Microsoft is. Microsoft's a service company. They don't care where this service is, as long as they can put the service on that thing. So their whole idea of, like, we got to take something from PlayStation gamers just isn't their approach. It's just never going to be their approach.
Taking away is, I understand what you're saying, and
it's about adding value.
Adding value, but the question then gets raised.
Sure.
Why not just take Hellblade 2 and put that on PlayStation 5? Why not? Hellblade 1 was on PlayStation 4, so let's continue giving that fan base the hard work that our teams are doing, because we want to be inclusive. Why not take Fable and say, well, Sony fans, they like single player games. Well, why don't we give them a good one?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I'm just saying that okay, look, here's the thing.
Yeah,
from a message, from a stance of power, right? Yeah. They're holding the industry in their hands, and I'm not saying they should be dictators. I'm saying that in order to sell a service like Xbox Game Pass, if said game, whether it be Bethesda or an Xbox exclusive, is available on the PC and on Xbox, those are the 2 locations that have that service for you to go and subscribe to if you are a Nintendo fan or a Sony fan, right? That drives sales. It drives interest in your platform and your brand. I'm not a business guy, dude. I'm just a knucklehead with a microphone. Yeah. But allowing Bethesda games to be played on, let's say, the PlayStation, why would a PlayStation player actually go to and get an Xbox Game Pass, which is what they're looking for people to do? Because the gamers are very fickle, and we've seen this on Steam. Well, they will pay full boat to get a game on Steam and not get it from Game Pass, because that's just their nature. That's what they want to do. So how are you going to drive people from the PlayStation, which is 120 million gamers, over to potentially, to come over to now jump into Xbox?
Their idea is adding so much value to Game Pass that is the exclusive. Like what you just like, there's a lot of PlayStation people I know jump the ship, not because of the exclusives that Xbox have,
because of the value
Game Pass.
proposition, I would imagine.
And that's that's the only reason why they're on the Xbox team now. I saw that. I saw a lot of people going like, yeah, PlayStation was my number one. But man, the value here is now it's unargued. It's here, and they switch, and that's what Microsoft wants you to do. and that's their whole thing is, again, we're on this Microsoft v PlayStation, right? It's not that. Take PlayStation out of the argument. They're somewhere else. They don't care. They don't want what Microsoft doesn't want to do is leave money on the table. So they're there, and it's at a time, it's a title by title basis. Their true mission here is what you just stated, right? PC audiences. They're taking a look. Oh my God, there's interest in our games on Valve, on Steam, whatever. There's interest here. Let's add interest here by adding one of the biggest PC publishers that has a lineage with PC. That's Bethesda. Yeah. Let's leverage Bethesda, just like what the CFO said, and nobody liked what he said a few months ago. That's exactly what they did today.
But you know what they
leverage it.
And you know something? Great point, Joe. Fantastic point, because a lot of people didn't like it. But here's the thing. He was at least dictating what it was going to be. Best first, you know what I'm saying? Like he spelled it out, meaning that, okay, it's going to be an Xbox Game Pass, so you're $15, get you this game. Right. But if you're over there, you're paying $70, right?
It's a battle of messaging. Like that guy literally thought he was just talking to a room of investors. And there's different language when you talk to investors and customers.
Yes.
And so like when I take a look at what this deal is, it's like, look, Xbox fans, you're all bummed out. You guys are still gonna play Xbox, right? That's
well, of course. I'm not exactly trading in my console.
It's not exactly. And so like they can mess up, they can bungle the messaging all they want, still gonna play on their platform though. So at the same exact time, there is that temptation of like what I say every week on the show is like, man, I want to play Outer Worlds so bad, but it's never going to come down on price on PlayStation because it's owned by Microsoft now. And then what do I do yesterday? I download Outer Worlds on my Xbox. Like,
of course,
that,
yeah, of course.
That is the tick damage that eventually leads me to forsake my platform. So that's what Microsoft's really thinking. Again, there will be a day. It's not this day, but there will be a day where you see Game Pass on a Nintendo thing and you see Game Pass on a PlayStation thing, whatever services they have, you see them on those things. Again, not anytime soon, but that day is going to happen. We're in this weird intersection. I like what Jeff Grubb said on his podcast the other night, which we're in this weird intersection now where the industry is becoming so much smaller that now Sony, Xbox, and Nintendo all have to talk to each other.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, is this thing a bummer if I'm an Xbox fan? Like I am, but like I'm not hardcore. But is this a bummer? No, because honestly, I'm gonna be playing all my Bethesda games on Xbox because of Game Pass. Right? As a PlayStation guy, I don't want to waste $70 if I can have it for 10. Right? So like that's the thing that I think we're missing out on, because we constantly want Xbox to be PlayStation sometimes in terms of like. PlayStation made Spider-Man exclusive for a bit. Ergo, this whole multi-billion-dollar company has to be exclusive. And that's just not what Microsoft is really in the ball game of doing. It's not a us versus them. They haven't been that company since Satya Nadella came in. They were that company with the CEO before, and he put that company in the shitter because of it. So like I take looks at moves like this. They understand the difference between a game like the one you mentioned earlier. Why can I think of it? Ninja Theory. The difference between Ninja Theory and Ninja Theory's game and Bethesda is Ninja Theory isn't a $7.5 billion company with millions upon millions upon millions of dedicated fan bases that you need to respect. And what this spells to me is really Bethesda and Microsoft getting to know each other, because for legality's sake, they couldn't logistically strategize with each other. So for
Right.
me, as a
That's
PlayStation
confirmed
fan,
fact. Yes.
yeah, as a PlayStation fan, my whole thought process in this is, okay, so Bethesda's on borrowed time. I'm gonna eventually have to pull the plug on Nana/Bethesda. Eventually, it's not this day. Eventually, they'll come over. They'll be solely Xbox, focused, if that is truly the case. But right now, I got Nana for a little bit longer. And that's fine. And what PlayStation's going to have to do, which they probably have been doing, is looking around going, okay, so soon the portfolio of Western RPGs will be very thin. We got to do something about it.
Well, well, first of all, we have to welcome in two guests. Gaz from Game On Daily is here, along with Everborn. Listen, I didn't expect to have a monster panel like this. I also have to say this. The super chats that have come in, folks, are just... Like, we have 600 people here, and I feel like I got 600 super chats already. I'm trying to catch up and trying to keep this because I don't want to let anyone super chat go by. So, Zemi, if you can continue putting in the super chats, it'd be greatly appreciated. And I'm going to get to them before we move on. But I do want to get to, of course, the two guests. Gaz, first of all, welcome back, dude. That's like 2 times in a week we got you here, and you're hanging out with us. You were here on Friday with King. This is world breaking news for a lot of people, and we've had some big people in our circle within social media and the content creation community come out with some strong words, and I want to get your opinion on it, but I want to read one of the ones that I respect one of the most, and it's Clobriel. And he had something very interesting. In fact, he had quite a bit to say. And he said, but the most important one is this. And I want to get your opinion on it. And of course, I want to get your opinion on what transpired today, Gaz. Mm-hmm. This is coming directly from Clobriel. He says, some is the new case by case. Look at all of the discussions on social media, which will continue now. The messaging remains muddy. If people are confused with your communication, your communication did not help to set the expectation properly. I had the concern this would happen, and it happened. Gaz, what are your personal takeaways from what Clobriel, who is pro Xbox, bleeds green, the guy probably knows Phil Spencer personally. What are your takeaways from what he had to say? And for yourself, where do you sit with the Xbox Wire article?
Hi everyone. Sorry, I just invaded. Say what's up, Mr. Badbit. Punk Soul, we get to talk to each other.
That's right, buddy. The sauce is here. I can't believe I get to experience it firsthand.
Yeah, neither can I, man. It's good to be finally chat to you. Yeah, let me just say this, yeah. And look, Game On Daily is platform agnostic. We play all consoles.
Yes, you do.
And everything. So we are platform agnostic. But my God, is this such a stupid thing to do, Microsoft? And I sat there, Mr. Badbit was talking about, oh yeah, the Xbox don't care about PlayStation. Why? Why do you spend $7.5 billion for us to then sit here in the dark? Now we're going to spend the rest of our years guessing about this stuff. It's so annoying. It's such a stupid I'll say this, it's a stupid strategy. If you had balls, you would come out and say, done, we'll honor those 2 deals. The rest of it, come to our service. This is the Xbox. We're more open than any other platform on the planet. If you want to experience these games, come on Xbox, come on PC, go on mobile. It's going to run on your fridge, for God's sake. There is no reason for straddling this line over all this time. It's just so annoying. It is the new case-by-case basis, because that's exactly what it is until they explicitly confirm that. So what's the position now is, every time we're going to run up to a next Bethesda launch, it's just going to be, is this a Bethesda game? Oh, is this going to come out? And it's going to be fanboy flames on both sides. Oh, is this going to come out? Or is this going to be exclusive? Is this not going to be exclusive? And the proof is going to be in the pudding, where Microsoft has the balls to withhold these 3 games, if they don't stay exclusive to the Xbox platform. It just, to me, screams insecurity or lack of belief in their own platform. And that's correct. Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and Starfield.
Yes.
So you can't. It's just such a stupid. Unless there are a myriad of legal reasons as well, and there may be a strategic reason for saying some. Some can be interpreted in a whole myriad of different ways, and I'm seeing my timeline. One group saying something else, the others, the Xbox side going crazy because you're just going to get your games as a service games, those kind of games that will need big multiplayer numbers shared, which is fine, I guess. No one cares about that. But the main thing, anyone in this room, most people in this panel, or all your sexy viewers, 616 plus, my God, you're growing. All of them are or anyone there cares, and I dare anyone in the comments to disagree. You guys know I'm right. You care about Elder Scrolls, Doom, and Fallout, and Starfield. Those games staying exclusive.
Yes.
That is the main source. That is the source. And the fact that we have to sit here now, just bloody opine or guess and assume, and just it's just so annoying. It's just so annoying. Like, well, Microsoft, you do some things right. Yeah, you just don't follow through with it. And it just seems like such a limp-wristed approach to things. Am I annoyed? Yes, I am. Someone says I'm heated. I am heated. I am heated because it's just so stupid. Just grab it by the balls. You want to be market leader in this industry? Grab it by the balls. Your competitors wouldn't even dream to do what you're doing. Stop being all nice and friendly. Phil Spencer, don't take it to heart. I want to invite you to my show one day, but thank you.
No. I mean, listen. Everything you're saying is true, but let's get Everborn on the conversation, because Everborn, I'm glad that you're here. I don't know how long we have you, but I'm glad you're here because of the simple fact that you are someone that understands business. You do run your own business, with Everborn, so you understand what the ramifications of a solid message to your community means. What it says. When you have confidence in your product, it makes your fan base even more confident. This article, unfortunately, did not lead and then walk away with confidence. It made me feel like they were very they were too vague in what they were trying to tell. The message that they were trying to tell the world, whether it be we want the game everywhere or we want the game exclusive, I still think people don't know. I don't think we have a clear understanding of what their intentions are. And it's the biggest problem with Microsoft. It continues to be their Achilles heel, and that is their messaging has always been bad. And once again, I'm sorry to say, as much as I love Xbox, it is bad one more time. What are your thoughts on this Xbox Wire article?
Fun fact, I wholeheartedly disagree, and Gaz is my first time talking with you, but I'm a longtime fan, but I disagree with you.
Let's fight. Let's do this. I'm so ready for this.
Here's the thing. I think the article was genius. You know why? I listen, just like Game On Daily, Everborn is a platform agnostic story. But here's the thing. Guess what? I'm a Game Pass subscriber. You know what I know for sure? I'm getting all of these games. Done deal. I don't have to think about it. You know who doesn't know and who's in limbo? The PlayStation guys. And all the only PlayStation gamers that don't subscribe to Game Pass, guess what? They're on the fence and begging at every release, hey, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Who knows? But guess what? We are all talking about Microsoft games. That's what we're talking about. And that will continue to dominate the question. So why say anything? As if your investment has paid off because now you get all these games in your service, right? You know that you will get all the DLC probably first, whether it ever comes to PlayStation. They're gonna have to be on the edge of their seats, sort of begging, like in A Wonderful Life, please, sir, do you have any more? Right? This is a fact. Xbox, if that's your preferred platform, or if you just subscribe to Game Pass, you already won. The fight is over, right? And we don't know in the background what they are contractually obligated to do, right? So there could be other games besides Tokyo Ghostwire or Deathloop. And furthermore, just from a sort of management perspective, Bethesda is a multi-plat publisher. They have probably hundreds of people that are only dedicated to working on the PlayStation. They are not day one going to say, pack your shit, get out, right? You don't want to do that if you are just sort of taking over, right? Because that's going to kill company morale, right?
I mean, 7.5 billion. They can do a lot.
No. They can absolutely. They can, but the question is, should they? Right? You don't want to have a mass exodus of talent because all their friends just got fired, right? So I think that you will see whatever. I think the important things. This is just my opinion now. I think the important things will be exclusive, and whether they're not, my subscription just got more valuable and it's genius. And I don't.
Yeah, that's exactly what Zemi said. Yeah,
they should never say anything. Keep them in limbo. Keep them begging for what leftovers they can get. And I'll just add this, and I just tweeted this. If I'm Phil Spencer, I'm on the phone with Jim Ryan right now and saying, hey, you want Elder Scrolls and Fallout? We're going to need Spider-Man and Game Pass. How about that? Right?
Strong point.
So don't say anything. It will continue to dominate the conversation, and it's just free advertisement, man.
But Everborn, it's only free advertisement within like our community that talks about this, right? All of us that already have Xbox Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate. You're right. We are set. And like I said from the beginning, personally, I don't care because I know I'm getting a day and date. But this is about the people who have not made the decision yet. This is about holiday 2021 when the consoles are available everywhere and people are making a choice. Should the Xbox expectations from a business standpoint not be set? So when people go to make that decision, because not everybody is a multi-console owner like a lot of us here are, right? A lot of us don't care because we just go buy wherever we need to buy to get in and get the games we want. But a lot of people have to make that decision. And should not the expectations be that when people go to say, hey, I know I'm going to want to play Starfield, I know I'm going to want to play Elder Scrolls, but I really like the Sony exclusives as well, but I got to make that decision. Should the expectations not be that, hey, if I want to play these more, I have to buy into the Xbox ecosystem? Should that not be set up front?
What should be set up front in terms of expectation is that if I have Game Pass, I'll get all these games, right? That's the thing. You know what you're getting, and I'm sure the advertisement that we'll see towards holiday season is get Elder Scrolls, Starfield, Halo, Forza, Gears, whatever else, Wolfenstein 3, all of that is going to be included in your Game Pass subscription. And that's the decision you have to make. Listen, if you're on a budget and you can only afford one console and your favorite games, and your favorite games happen to be Elder Scrolls and Fallout, I think that decision is very clear where you have to go.
Oh, absolutely. Right? For those people, yes.
And honestly, Everborn, you're onto something here, because it's just like, think of all the marketing that it kind of Game Pass does itself. Like how the clever tags at the end, you'll see that emblem and go day one on Game Pass. People go, what the fuck is Game Pass? And look it up and go, oh shit, and go out there and get it. You know, it's not so much about the platform, it's about that incentive. I like that. And
just when you think in terms of advertising, do you know how many people thought that Destiny was only on PlayStation?
A lot of people did.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
all of these games will have the connotation and the connection of being Xbox, whether they come later or whenever. I think it's genius, and I think and I don't think it's just us in the sort of Twitter bubble. I think that every major publication is writing about whether PlayStation fans will get Xbox games, and what that creates is FOMO.
But
right?
what's your ultimate take on whether or not they actually will appear on the platform? That's the principle. That's the thing. The question that's on hot on everyone's lips.
I will answer that question, but before I answer it, I will say it doesn't matter. What matters is that you get it as a part of your subscription to Game Pass, and that is what you want to advertise around. Now, As far as what I think will happen, I think that there are probably several other games, and for the next maybe year or two, you will see games come to the PlayStation, right? There could not be any influence from Microsoft on Bethesda before this morning at 9 a.m., right? So they had Bethesda had to move forward as though they were not being acquired, just legally, right? And so I think there are things in the pipeline, and so it doesn't have to be an either or; it can be a both and. Yes, some things will be exclusive, and I think the important ones will be exclusive if the goal at Microsoft remains to increase Game Pass subscriptions. You will have exclusive content there, right? And so I think what they are contractually obligated to could be some things that have not been announced yet. Could be that Indiana Jones is going to be cross-platform just because of the nature of that deal. Who knows what that is? And so they have to say that for now. But what we should all know as Xbox fans, even as Xbox First guys, is you're not in limbo. You are getting those games. PlayStation people, who the hell knows? But I think the important ones will be exclusive.
So that's the main thing. That's what I want to get at. Yeah,
Right.
do you think the big ones will stay exclusive?
You know, that's actually the question I want to pose to the chat. Which, by the way, we have almost 700 people here, which is bananas. But before I pose the question, I'm going to feel like a complete heel if I don't catch up on these super chats, and there's been quite a few of them.
Before you do, Boom,
yes,
I got to run. I only had till 1 o'clock before my next meeting.
Go take care of business.
2 cents.
Yeah,
but
no, great
so
to have
much.
you, brother.
And
thank you.
I need everybody to hit the like button. And after this show is over, I need you to go over to everbornsaga.com, click on the link at the top, and check out the Kickstarter. We are releasing Ariel's Adventure. It's a great book, and we are allowing people to get characters in future books. Check it out. It's great. We got a whole anime pilot going on. Everbornsaga.com, link at the top, Kickstarter campaign. And again, you win if you are an Xbox fan. There's nothing else to debate. So many people are in limbo. We are not. So That's it. Gotta go. Gaz, I want to get on your show one day. I love hearing you talk.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Okay,
later,
so
everybody.
Thanks for being here, brother. Definitely appreciate it. Yeah, definitely head over to the everbornsaga.com. Check out that Kickstarter and you support our brother. Let me catch up on some of these super chats. First of all, the first one of the day comes from a very generous friend of the show, Reggie Mobile 9, drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, "Good day to you, Boom, and the great panel. The like button is a far more important than people realize. Show your appreciation for the hard work. Salute, Boom." Thanks so much for that. We also have the Ant Sweeney drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says this: "I think games will continue with continuing storylines. Wolfenstein 3, Dishonored 3 will be multi-plat. Standalone ES6 and Starfield Indiana Jones will be exclusive." That's what we're going to get into next. Sean Murray drops another $10 super chat. Thank you, Sean, for that. He says, "It's been a while. I don't read the article like this. I see it as some being every game other than the contracted games already, such as Ghostwire Tokyo or Deathloop, but we still have E3 or the Bethesda show," which we're going to, they actually talked about that. Obi-Wan Alfred drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "You are 100% right. Bethesda games must be Xbox games. They need to be smart and they need to have courage at Microsoft." East Texas Alex drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "I'm very excited about the future of gaming for Xbox and especially for Game Pass. Any ideas on what games are coming next from Bethesda to Game Pass?" Yeah, they're going to tell us later on today, dude. Actually, Aaron Greenberg dropped a tweet regarding that as well. Viper XT, wow, he drops a very generous $20 super chat and says, "I think we need to focus on the words Phil said. He's usually pretty careful on what he says. He said future new titles, not future new IPs. So I read it as if games are contractually obligated deals will be exclusive. That's interesting. I didn't even think about that. John B., another generous friend of the show. Wow, he drops a $10 super chat and says, Xbox consoles, PC, and Game Pass will be the best place to experience new Bethesda games, including new titles in the future that they will be exclusive to Xbox and PC players. Clear enough for me. See, another one that's reading it totally different, guys. Reggie Mobile 9 drops, wow, another super chat for $5 and says, as far as PR speaking coming from Xbox, I think Xbox knows its precarious position, and they are judged quite different. Must keep their cards close. That's interesting too. Nolan Bapstein drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, with all you do, respect, but you guys are ruining the mood. I don't know so much about that. I think we're having a genuinely a good conversation.
Well, go to hell and only reply back with a super chat.
Lord Roughness
Love you.
drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, for me, if I look at it from a multi-platform stance, it didn't sound positive. And because of that, I'm still thinking these games will be exclusive. Michael Kullick drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, the way I read it, he stated the future titles will be exclusive. What's not clear is when he said some new titles being exclusive. They need to clarify this. Gamer by Choice, another generous friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, I think Xbox is playing chess. If they want another publisher, they have to be careful about looking like a monopoly. This messaging is planned, in my opinion. That's an interesting thought as well.
That's a very good, very, very interesting point there. We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Robert Jones, another generous friend of the show, he drops, wow, an outstanding $25 super chat. And he says, the article was stated, it has to be stated. It was stated how it has to be stated. Too many games have prior commitments like Ghostwire and Deathloop, like multiplayer games. Also, if they are buying another publisher, they need to be seen as neutral. Again, a strong point. We have Logical Tech drops, wow, a very generous $20 super chat and says, Microsoft is slowly boiling the water of exclusivity that the PlayStation frogs are comfortably sitting in. Bill would be crucified today if he stated it the other way. He said that they will be exclusives and he means AAA. Wow, that is a really unbelievable vision in my head. Thank you for the generosity, dude, but thank you for the comment. That was funny. JD Gamer, another generous friend of the show, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, there is a proverb in war fighting and in a war fighting and life. If you are going to take a hit, take one hit, learn from it, and then hit back, i.e. destroy your enemy. Interesting. Robert Jones, wow, dude, he drops another super chat for $15. Thanks so much, Robert. Definitely appreciate the generosity. He says, one thing I want to say, far too often Xbox fans see things as half empty and not half full. I mean, Game Pass has become fire. Best place to play, and they said some exclusive things are looking good. And again, it makes perfect sense for sure. Gamer by Choice drops a $5 super chat and says, let's say Xbox wants Ubisoft. If they make ZeniMax all exclusive now, another acquisition could be viewed as a takeover of the industry. Deal blocked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the super chat there and get to because there's a ton more, and I promise I'll get to them. Zemi Games, who was that? Gaz, you want?
I'm just saying, you've reached a status where you have so many super chats, you'd have to cut in to stop because the show must have gone.
Yeah, you know what?
You've got like 20 more.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And listen, folks, the generosity allows me to get new equipment, which I've done. I've spent a lot of the super chats on all new equipment for the show, which is why it's running so much better.
And if you pay him more, he'll end up buying a PlayStation.
Actually, I have a PlayStation. I have everything, dude. Yeah, I have it all. But Zemi Games, listen, I think the big question here, I really want everyone to take their time to answer it, because everyone's opinion is super important. And even some of the super chats have even swayed me to kind of sit back in my chair and say, you know what? Maybe a lot of people are right about the Xbox Game Pass being the exclusive. Maybe, like Joe said, maybe Joe was onto something
right.
when you say, well, you know what? If I'm a PlayStation player, do I spend $76.13 on said game, or if I'm an Xbox owner, do I just go and I download it? So there is something to be said about that. But the big question, I think this is the one that's going to probably be the most talked about, at least in the next couple of days, is Starfield. Starfield is a new IP. Starfield is Todd Howard's baby. Besides the Indiana Jones game that he is working on. So we understand that Starfield is a new IP. It is now an exclusive to Microsoft. The question is, does it remain as an exclusive? What do you think about that, Zemi?
Man, I see how it is. Whenever I say that Game Pass is enough, everyone says boo Zimmy. But whenever other people say it, like, yeah, I can see that happening.
70 sucks, boo.
What?
Whoa, hey,
What is
chat.
happening here? Okay, anyway. Okay, so
Sorry,
as
Zen.
far as Starfield goes, I really could see it either way. Of course, like there could be, something where, contractually, it has to go to PlayStation, right? My personal opinion is that I would not. I really think that if there is no contract or if Xbox doesn't legally have to send over Starfield to PlayStation, that it will probably be an exclusive. Yeah. For me personally, I think that we will see Elder Scrolls, we will see Fallout over on PlayStation, whether that be a timed exclusive or whatever. But I do think that Starfield, with it being a new IP that's never been over on the PlayStation platform before, quite possibly, is the strongest pick I think I have for it being a complete exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem. However, there's so many different things that go into it. Like there's no 100% like this is the right answer or whatever. It's all speculation. But for me, I do see Starfield as being one of the more likely titles that's going to come out from ZeniMax in the recent years to be a fully lockdown exclusive. But with that being said, Boom, I do actually have to hop out of here, man.
Okay, yeah, go take care of business, brother. Well,
Yep.
listen, we'll definitely see you on Thursday, which we, of course, will continue the conversation for sure. Zemi, thanks so much for being here, brother.
Yep.
Definitely
See you,
appreciate
man.
that. Pong, so let's get your opinion on this. Obviously, I think Starfield. So let's just say this for right now, as Xbox gamers, we know that our major exclusive is Halo Infinite, which of course I believe is going to deliver in every way possible. I have absolute full faith that that game is going to be everything we wanted. But outside of that one AAA bomb, it is the only game that we really know. Like we can anticipate, we can suggest that we're going to get a new Forza. Thanks to Jeff Grubb earlier last month, he talked about that he believes it's going to be Forza Horizon 5 and not Motorsport 8, which a lot of people like thought that would be the case. But to add another big AAA game, a new IP by Bethesda in the form of Starfield, do you think that is going to remain exclusive to Xbox in 2021? Because I think that game is definitely releasing.
Yeah. First of all, let me say this is the fun part about this stuff. I see a lot of people in chat wondering why everybody's so upset. Having a big opinion about what a business decision should be, it has nothing to do with being upset. It's just fun to debate what we would do if we were sitting in the big chair, right? And that's what this is all about. And I think it's awesome that we can have these discussions and just have people that have different opinions about it. But it's not necessarily we're mad or upset. It's just a simple fact we just would like to see it done a different way. That's all. So I just think that this is great. As far as Starfield goes, I wish Everborn could have stuck around, because that when he was talking about, he thinks that previous contracts would be honored, and that's why they said some. That's going to be the big one, right? Because we know at this point the PlayStation version is done, right? We know they were making this multi-plat from the beginning. Starfield was expected. We know Sony was trying to buy exclusive rights to it for a couple years, possibly. So we know the version is probably done, and they've probably been polishing it because, like everybody said, legally Microsoft could not tell them to stop doing what they were doing while this deal was going on. So this is going to be a huge question. I think it would be a gigantic, enormous mistake not to make it exclusive. If there is any way to rip up a contract, if there is a contract there, or to pay it off, or whatever the case, to keep this exclusive, I think Microsoft has to do it because, like you said, Boom, the first huge new IP from Todd Howard in years, it carries a lot of weight, and it's something that needs to be only available in the Xbox ecosystem. I think this is something that they definitely need to establish, and that's part of my reason why I was disappointed today. But Starfield has been mentioned so many times by Microsoft or Xbox, all the people at Xbox. Every time an interview comes up, and even in today's post, it was mentioned in there once again by Phil. Starfield is going to be a huge deal. I think it is. Whatever's been shown behind the scenes had Sony excited. Whatever's been shown behind the scenes was definitely played a big part in, obviously, the purchase, acquisition of Bethesda. This could be the next big series to start up, and Microsoft needs to make this exclusive. And like you, Boom, I've been saying it forever. Definitely, this is coming out this year. It's a 2021 deal, and I think that, yes, this is going to be exclusive because it has to be. It's so vital going forward. I think they definitely make it exclusive.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. So, Gaz, let's get your. No, Joe, I'm sorry, Gaz. We'll come to you in a second. Joe, what's your opinion on this? Obviously, again, I think it couldn't have been put any better by Pong Soul when he says that this is the first new IP from Todd Howard in what might be a decade. Right. And a lot of people are excited for this title. This is the kind of title that would move Game Pass subscriptions. It would certainly move Xbox hardware, whether that be the X or even the S, which is, of course, the one I think Microsoft wants to sell the most. It's the $300 box that gets you into next generation but doesn't put you into the poorhouse. Does Starfield remain exclusive?
Yeah, that's probably the one they're hinting at. It wasn't announced for, a console. It doesn't have a prior audience that it needs to respect. So it just needs to build it. So I think this is probably the one that, if there is no prior deal, that is going to be Xbox exclusive. Like what someone said, I think it was a super chat. And you know what? Give us another super chat to confirm. But I just tried to make Boom rich. So, it's a deal by deal basis, and whatever existing contracts that there are between Bethesda and its partners, Xbox wants to respect that because they don't want.
Well, they did that already, and I applaud them for it with Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. Yes. So
like with Starfield, it totally makes sense, I think, because it doesn't have a prior audience or whatever. It can do that. I think I got yelled at the Archimedes the last time I mentioned this. I think Indiana Jones is also the one that probably has the question mark, which is probably like Microsoft's probably walking back to the table and talking to Lucasfilm about. So like whatever games they have deals with, again, I really do feel like this is the beginning of the end for the Bethesda PlayStation relationship, but you don't want to just cut it off because that's super unprofessional. It's super,
of course, absolutely. Which
it's
is why
super corporate takeover.
Yeah,
a takeover-ish between between Bethesda. That's like literally going, okay, gang, nothing's changing. Now let me see all the most important documents.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. Again, I like the way that Microsoft's going about this. It's respecting not just the gamers but the people that are making them. So yeah. Starfield probably. I want to know what that game is before I'm excited about it, though.
No, I mean, listen, I think it's going to be a Fallout in space. Personally,
it's Todd Howard.
Yeah, it's
bit.
Todd
It's Todd
Howard.
Howard. That's all you need to know.
Oh,
That's all you
Yeah,
need
no,
to
no, I agree.
so it'll be broken. I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding.
Yeah, well, hopefully not.
No
That would
slander.
be awful. That's terrible, terrible.
Just for you, Pog.
Gaz, let's get your opinion on this. Starfield is an IP that has been a conundrum since it was announced, and I say that not because we have any doubt of its how good it's going to be, but we don't really know outside of some leaked screenshots that it's going to be basically Fallout out of space. What do you think, in your opinion, is the importance of having this exclusive title be one of the first ones for Xbox during this $7.5 billion deal?
I think it's very important purely because of the fact that, once it's a Todd Howard game, but also in terms of the timeline of when it's coming out, that's the next game. That might be the one that sets the precedent about the next big game. So if Starfield is not exclusive and comes to the PlayStation, then that opens up the whole. Well, that just throws your some argument down the toilet, to more or less, because and the Xbox exclusivity has a massive question mark around it, whether or not it's valuable. Starfield is the one, and there's a lot of complexity there because, and Asa mentioned this to me, that a lot of work would have presumably been done on the PlayStation version of Starfield, so canning that wouldn't be an easy decision to make as well. So there are a myriad of factors here. None of this is black and white, but if Starfield and its exclusivity is going to be the one everyone is going to be keen on looking at, particularly because everyone thinks that the Starfield is actually due for release almost this year. Or
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, it's tremendously important. That's the one that's going to set the precedent. So yeah, I think it's huge. I think it's huge. Also, need to touch upon a really, really good point that someone or multiple people actually have made, and I think this doesn't get enough airtime. In terms of the legal element, as you know, my main profession is I'm a lawyer, but I'm not in mergers or acquisitions. But what I can say though is that if Microsoft are anticipating or Microsoft are planning acquisitions, it is really important, or of big publishers. I'm not talking about some development outfits, but publishers. Then it's really important that they straddle this line for the sake of approval of these mergers from Europe or big regulatory bodies. So that you cannot discount that's a really good point. A few of you have mentioned something that shamefully I didn't even really put much thought into it until I just sat here in silence as you shunned me like the leper that I am to ponder over it. But it's a really good point. This is a big deal. There are rumors going about, and we had on our show we had Xbox era Colt, and these guys, they may know a few things, but the rumblings are that something massive is supposed to happen later this year for Xbox, a similar kind of acquisition, one that may even dwarf this one. Which
we've heard from the same source that we believe basically on what they're saying, Gaz, is that it is a Bethesda level acquisition. That's the terminology that I have heard from numerous people within our circle.
If that's the case, man, then you have to understand that it's crazy. You have to navigate this. Someone did say it's a game like chess, and someone's having to go at me. Oh, guys, but you don't understand. It's a game like chess. They will, but you didn't understand the point. The legal side of it is definitely a game of chess. Acquisitions. Before this, by the way, I remember someone was saying, and I think someone DM'd us in a group and said, "Oh no, this class action lawsuit is going to stop the acquisition." And I laughed, and me and the Dodge Knight and everyone called me. It's like, "Is this true?" And I laughed at that. They have a buffer for this kind of litigation and any kind of class action lawsuit looked like a joke anyway. But the point I'm trying to make very, very badly is that there are legal elements here, strategic considerations here, particularly if Microsoft have further acquisitions in mind. So that is something very serious. That's why then Jeff Grubb is absolutely spot on, and I did retweet what he said. He said that he thinks Phil threaded the needle really well, because he just kind of gave an indication of what's going on. But the fact that you can take it the other way. Some games are definitely coming to Xbox and PC. And the chap Everborn, who just left, did say that. And I'm sorry, Mr. Badbit, I love you. I know you're primarily PlayStation, even though you're very level-headed and more.
No, I agree with everything you just said.
Yeah, platform agnostic as well. You're just saying that because I'm loving you up right now. But shut up, Dodge. You're not falling asleep. I completely forgot it because Dodge Knight put me off the stupid sod. But no, I think he's right that there's a lot. There's going to be a lot of developments here. The story isn't ended yet. It's frustrating for us, but at the same time, for content creators, it's going to be interesting to kind of like have these discussions. But Starfield is a big one, man. If that is not exclusive, I'm gonna grab a fistful of feces and throw it at the Dodge Knight because I'll be so angry about it. And I'm angry about it. And guys, look, I'm platform agnostic. I prefer Xbox, but I want Xbox to do well. It's not from a position of I want PlayStation to do badly. I want to deprive PlayStation gamers from Xbox exclusive or Bethesda games. The point is, despite the fact that Microsoft is gargantuan as a corporation, Xbox is still the underdog. PlayStation put Xbox to shame last gen by outselling it 2-1. So for the sake of competition, this is why I really want the Xbox Series X to be the most powerful console, and I want the Bethesda games to be exclusives because that will light a fire in the industry under Sony's arse, and then that will get competition going. Really give it a tetanus shot. Either way, we're still in for a sick gen. And that's my point. That's where I'm coming from, not just being like an export. I know you don't like those labels, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
that's
that makes sense.
Competition. But
I do have one other question I want to pose, but let me just again catch up on the super chats. First of all, Dorian Gray drops a very generous, love the name, drops a $5 super chat and says, "See how aggressive Sony is? They just dropped the God of War release date to steal the Bethesda thunder." Joe, is that true?
I don't know because I've been trying to upload this video and YouTube's being a real pain in the keister. Let me.
Okay, well, listen, I'm going to have to look into that because that would be pretty interesting and very, very Sony-like for sure. JD Gamer, generous friend of the show, he says, "I hate to even say this. A coward dies 1,000 deaths, but a hero dies just once. Be the hero, Xbox. Be the hero."
So true, man.
I mean, you can't really argue that. The Friendly Neighborhood, and I can't get the whole name of it because I'm looking it on YouTube. It is hold on a sec. The Friendly Neighborhood. Oh, Friendly Neighborhood Blue. Thanks for being here. Wow, he drops a very generous $20 super chat and says, no stream service doesn't have exclusives, and that includes Netflix, Disney Plus, and HBO Max. Game Pass is a streaming service. Some Bethesda games should be exclusive and be obviously exclusive. Strong point.
No God of War release date, by the way.
What is it?
What's that?
There's no God of War
Oh, okay. Thank you, PlayStation man, because I was getting nervous. How do I miss that? But thankfully,
me too. I was sweating bullets. I was like, oh shit! I'm supposed to have my PlayStation alerts. What's going on here?
CYV Studios, a generous friend of the show, he drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Game on daily in the house. Let's go." Calm down, guys. Don't forget, I would say that it's a smart move from Microsoft not to say more about it because of the best time. I mean, yeah, I guess, but I kind of agree with Gaz on this one, man. I mean, I just think that you can't be as vague as they were and expect, because what the article said to me is they were not trying to offend both parties, when in turn, it just seems muddied. Like Clobriel said, that's just my takeaway from it. I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm not saying it's the best thing since sliced bread. I'm saying that it's muddied and it's not a concise, confidence-written response. That's just me. It seems like, oh, we're happy for Bethesda, but we really don't know what we're going to do with them at this point. That's really what it says to me. It does not invoke confidence in what we're going to do with the $7.5 billion companies we just purchased. That's what it says. But again, this is going to be a debate that's going to rage the entire week. We're going to be talking about this to some extent on Thursday, and probably, unless there's a Thursday show, which I don't think there's going to be at this point because of this article, we're going to be talking about it with King David on Breakfast with Boom to some extent. We're not going to, regurgitate anything we talked about. It's going to be new perspectives and new, ideologies. But again, it's the hot topic. We're probably going to be talking about it. Keo Walker drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I think the article was fine since it's also meant for investors as well as fans of Xbox. We will get something more from Xbox fans later. That's probably true. We have Alexander Dark 91 drops a $2 super chat and says, Everborn speaks the truth. Yes, he does. He's a great member of this community, but more importantly, he's a very good friend, and I love having him a part of my shows. Pixelbit G, a generous friend of the show, he drops a $2 super chat and says, Everborn is right. It's free advert via Limbo. Strong point. JD Gamers drops a $5 super chat, and he's also a generous friend of the show. Everborn is the man. Thanks for your insight. It's a wonderful way to look at what Microsoft is doing. I have to agree. So Everborn, if you're listening, and I know that you are, you're getting a lot of kudos here. CYV Studio says this after $5 super chat. The bedtime for them will be when they are advertising the games itself, because people will be looking forward to see if it will be exclusive or not. Strong point. JD Gamer drops another super chat and says, hey, you poor PlayStation poppers, keep begging.
Oh, come on.
Pixelbit G drops a $2 super chat.
It's because Bethesda games are overrated anyway.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
That one's for Pong.
You got something to do, don't you? Go fix that video, will you?
I'm trying my best.
Pixelbit G's drops a $2 super chat and says, choice is clear: to be a fool and pay $70 or play it on Xbox Game Pass. Indeed. Fassel007 drops a $5 super chat and says, I see a soft gradual transition to more exclusive down the line. Next, let the media talk about the Kojima collaboration next. Yeah, I mean, I still think that's coming next as well. Alexander Dark drops another $2 super chat and says, Everborn taking everyone to school. Keo Walker drops another $5 super chat. Thank you for your generosity there, Mr. Walker. He says, Microsoft also paid off GameStop. So when the holiday comes around, do you think those employees will be there with their Surface tablets, won't hype up Game Pass? No, I think they're going to actually be obligated to do so because of that contract. Sean Jackson drops a $5 super chat and says, long game is Sony and Nintendo as channels inside Game Pass. I think Prime Video with HBO and Showtime, just like EA, get paid over everyone's game. That's pretty interesting. Four other ones, and we'll get back to the last question. Xbox BG drops a $5 super chat, and thank you for that, brother. He says, all Bethesda games should and must be Xbox and PC exclusive. I have no idea why we are having this conversation. Appreciate your show, brother. Stay strong. Well, thanks so much for that, dude. Victor Alistine, another generous friend of the show, he drops a $5 super chat and says this: the idea of the best on Xbox is already exclusive. I will not fly well with Sony in making their console look worse. Yeah, you definitely would. Listen, I don't think anyone here would even suggest they want Sony to fail. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's even a conversation. I think that if you are a part of that conversation, I certainly am not. But I think that Microsoft has been behind the 8 ball for 7 years, folks. They are finally in a position of power. And I'm not saying that they're, a power in like they're the king of the industry. I'm saying that they have 23 game studios. It is the biggest gathering of AAA studios in any one of the big three. I'm not, again, taking nothing away from Nintendo or Sony, but they have an opportunity to take control of this generation, and it doesn't seem like they, and the market. Good point, Gaz. It doesn't seem like they want to grab the reins just yet. And again, we don't know legally if there's something that we don't know. And obviously, Gaz would be being obviously that you're a lawyer. In real life, you would understand. And you'd understand what that means.
Gaz, you're actually a lawyer, like for real?
Yeah.
They let kids be lawyers now.
I'm a
we
real
have
boy.
Daz Chef drops a $5 super chat and says, "Best gaming podcast on the internet, hands down. Wish I could give you more. Deserve it, brother." Listen, dude, let me tell you something. First of all, thank you for the $5 super chat. I definitely appreciate that. But your view, your voice in the community here in the chat, and your thumbs up to the like, more than enough, dude. More than enough. I definitely appreciate that. And go AP3, and I think it's Go Ape, says this after dropping a $5 super chat. All new current original IPs from Bethesda will be exclusive to the Xbox platform. Any third-party licensed games like Indiana Jones will be multi-plat. And that is what we're going to close this show in on, because, you know, a couple of years ago, Phil Spencer did an interview, guys, that was very, very telling. And it was regarding the reasoning behind getting Tomb Raider for an exclusive, right? For the 1 year exclusive, which, if you remember how that went for those developers, it is probably still haunting them in their dreams. And if I remember, I actually know someone that was there. I'm not going to disclose who it is. Those developers were not allowed to leave the stage until they were literally bullied into answering questions that they had no right to even answer. That is how vicious the gaming media acted towards them once they made that announcement. Okay. And during that conversation with Phil Spencer, when they asked him specifically, "Why did you do this deal?" he said, and I quote, "Well, PlayStation has Uncharted. We don't have a game like that, and I wish we did." Now, moving on to something as big as Indiana Jones. I know there's been a lot of talk about, well, Disney or Lucasfilm's games has to dictate that has to be multiplayer, a multi-plat, because it's a Disney IP. And this is where I beg to differ. Spider-Man, the face of effing Marvel, is locked down behind Sony. Now, I understand that there may be some, you know, Marvel and Disney and Sony stuff because of the film rights. You know, Marvel obviously wants to keep using Sony's own Spider-Man in the MCU, and they want to play nice. So maybe that was a part of the deal. But I'm going to be honest with you, considering that Sony has so many incredible AAA bangers, especially something like an Uncharted, which we can imagine we're either going to get a reboot or it's going to continue with his daughter, which I think would be awesome. I think keeping Indiana Jones as an exclusive is a big deal. And I think it should happen. Pong, what are your thoughts on the Indiana Jones IP? Should that be exclusive to Xbox the same way Spider-Man is exclusive to Sony?
Yeah, if there's any way to do it, absolutely. Of course, they should make it exclusive. I think it definitely behooves them to have an IP like that, especially, obviously, it depends on what type of gameplay that they're going to go for, but an action adventure style game, again, there's still questions about whether or not it's going to be first person or third person because Machine Games is making it. I think just overall to have that IP in the stable of exclusives would be a boon to Microsoft. And like Badbit said, if there's any way that, whether that contract was signed before or not, or whether there is something about PlayStation, going multi-plat, I think Microsoft would definitely would be, it would be good on them to go back to the table with Lucas Games and say, hey, we know this deal was signed, but we do want to make this exclusive at this point. What's it going to take? And just cut the check. I mean,
well, that's really what it comes down to, is the money factor. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Just cut the check and get that in there. And I think the quotes that you brought up from Phil is definitely vital to what we're talking about here, from the standpoint that it is obviously something that interested him. We know this is a Todd Howard baby, that this is something that he loves in the Indiana Jones franchise and has wanted to do for some time. So yes, definitely, I think they need to go back to the table if it's necessary. if there's not some other way out of any contract that has been agreed upon, and make that exclusive to the ecosystem. I definitely think that would be a win for them.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Joe, closing out today's show, which has been an epic show. I mean, we had almost 700 people here, a lot of big opinions. It went the way I was hoping it would went. There was no infighting. The chat was lit. You guys had your opinions. There was no
a lot of
bullying.
booing for Zemi. That was strange.
Well, I mean, Zemi gets
Expected
booze.
the strange.
I mean, this is what happens to Zemi. He doesn't.
Zemi.
He doesn't.
Guys, knock it off back there. Sorry,
Joe,
my
for
goodness.
you,
Yeah.
you know, listen, you're obviously on loan from PlayStation Nation, and you have had a multitude of incredible adventure games in the Uncharted series. You had the Lost Legacy, which was as good, potentially even better as one of my favorites of the entire series for sure. Do you think that it's important that Microsoft get Indiana Jones as an exclusive because of the fact that they just don't have that type of title on their ecosystem?
I don't know. I think the reason why they left that door open today is probably maybe they'll go back and talk to Disney and go, "Hey, Disney, what and try to get that type of relationship that they have with that PlayStation has with Disney on the level of Marvel and all that jazz." So I don't know. Would I try? Yeah, it would be worth an attempt. But again, I think like so many other people in the chat said, and I echo what Everborn has said as well, it's way more attractive to go, Indiana Jones, that also on PlayStation, $70. Or here, it's $10 on Xbox, and here's the Xbox emblem. All right. Have fun with that one and go their separate ways. But it really does. I think that's equally as effective. Even again, as a PlayStation guy looking in, PlayStation people want PlayStation now to be Game Pass. That is the thing we are envious about. That is the exclusive. And I think that's the most important thing. Will they go back to the table? I guess they'll try, but is it going to be, it really just depend on, is there already a deal in place? Who has it? And that'll probably be the thing that dictates that. But yeah.
Makes sense. And closing out, first of all, Gaz, thanks so much for surprising us. This was a great show. Great way for us to work again together. I love your opinion of it. Love how honest and open you were to start. Closing out, for you, seeing Microsoft have a lot of check boxes. First person, check. Over the shoulder, third person combat bro dude game, check. Racer, check. They have a lot of boxes checked, but the adventure aspect of like an Indiana Jones, Tomb Raider, Uncharted type game, they don't have in their arsenal. And Indiana Jones, I mean, again, this is going to be a much younger Indiana Jones potentially. Again, we can assume. Is it important for them to keep something that big, an IP that big, as an exclusive, or at least try to?
Yeah, I think it goes back down to the gulf in the quality of exclusives. That hasn't changed, irrespective of 23 studios. We expect it to change. There's no guarantee that these studios will actually churn out quality, although why wouldn't they? They have really talented people on board. But the gulf is still there, particularly in that third person kind of that setup. That kind of Sony owns that. Sony owns that so decisively, it's ridiculous. So Microsoft would need that. It's why money had to Tomb Raider to try and combat Uncharted at that point. That position hasn't changed, and it's really important. Xbox still has this massive gaping hole in its first party outfit. First party showing now. We all expect it to change. It's quite important that it does that. But yeah, and also again, so let's tangent there. But we have to give props to Mr. Badbit. I think I find it so remarkable that he's such a positive PlayStation community member.
Oh yeah,
thank you, man.
Yeah, he joins us, and for some reason, and I'll say this, and I know it's controversial, but the PlayStation community of content creators seems non-existent in terms of.
Oh, dude, it's a piece of shit over here.
Yeah, it really is. It really is, and I have no idea why, because we try to
man.
reach out, and you're the only one I can regularly find who
Yeah.
not only. I mean, look, you have a preference for PlayStation, and yet you're asking questions or fielding questions about Xbox and how it can enhance its value and whether Indiana Jones should be exclusive. But if I was like primary Xbox and be sitting there day in day out having these conversations, thinking, "Damn man, where are my guys? Why does Mystic not have a chat with me or have a and I think that needs to change. And I think
I like Mystic. He's one of the good ones.
he's really nice. He's really nice.
Yeah.
I think he would be really good if he led the charge and created that community. But you can do that because Shuei Yoshida follows you. Sorry, I've taken that over. But I really wanted to say that because I really, really like Mr. Badbit. He's like really
I take the insult back from the lawsuit or being a lawyer thing. You're a lot smarter with me with books. So
his ego doesn't need any more help here. Okay, come on. All right, enough.
I'm sorry, but he really is. He's such a nice guy, and honestly, everyone's like, it's so nice to the point where some PlayStation hardcore call him a fake PlayStation fan.
Yeah, well, that's why he's a part of the program. I mean, think about it. He's a staple member in the Xbox Factor podcast. I mean, that his character alone, the fact that he's on an Xbox show should be enough to tell you that yes, he's great. But if you ever listen to his show, and I highly recommend you subscribing to the Trophy Room, I really do. I think him and Kyle do such a wonderful job of talking and getting excited about PlayStation, but at the same time not shitting on Xbox for clicks. There's a very, very astute difference on how he and Kyle handle themselves as professionals, opposed to many, many other of the PlayStation community. So again, if you trust me, if you love me, or you enjoy my work, I definitely say that you have to head over to Mr. Badbit and obviously sub the Trophy Room. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. But listen, the last super chat of the day comes to us from Kenshu. First of all, thank you for the generosity. He drops an outstanding and very generous $20 super chat. Wow. He says, gangster-ish. If you want to lock down Spider-Man, then I will try and buy Warner Brothers. If you want to take Deathloop away from billions of gamers, I will then buy Bethesda. Now, what are you going to do, Sony? I mean, listen, I don't necessarily think that's how the conversation went. I mean, I think that we may never know this until someone writes a book, but I think I don't want to say financially in jeopardy like some small companies, but Bethesda was definitely having some problems. They were definitely going to probably have to lay a significant amount of people off, and I think that this deal keeping it basically kept the jobs of hundreds of people at Bethesda, because quite frankly, they have not had a new IP in years, and the last one was Fallout 76, and even though it's stable now, it took 3 and 4 years to get there. And a lot of people weren't happy with what they've been doing. But again, again, this is a subject that we're going to be talking about for the remainder of the week. I would imagine that there's going to be a multitude of opinions, and I cannot wait to continue this conversation this upcoming Thursday on the new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. But let's get to the outros, and we're going to start with the last one first. And Gaz, first of all, love what you guys are doing. What you and ASA stand for is exactly what this industry used to be. And I love you guys for what you're doing. I love the fact that you did not like the toxicity of the gaming industry and decided to take the bull by the horns and run your own shit. I love that. I think that you guys should be praise certainly more. Again, if you like my work, you definitely got to subscribe to Game On Daily. Please tell everyone where they can reach out, strike up a conversation, but more importantly, check out what you guys do each and every week.
Oh, thank you so much. That's a very nice outro. Really appreciate the help. GameOnDaily.com is the website that we sunk thousands into, which doesn't have enough viewers. Maybe something's wrong with us. We're literally collating news as it comes, but we're not getting enough people commenting and stuff. To be completely frank with you, we've spent thousands and thousands on it. So we're just re-gutting things, more things in development, just trying to adjust. We also think our YouTube videos, even though everyone says there's some of the best content out there, doesn't get enough views. Maybe it's YouTube algorithms wanting us to do.
YouTube's algorithms are gross. They really are.
They want me to slap my face on a thumbnail, pretend I'm getting electroshocked, and then go, reaction. So maybe I will do that and tell myself, or maybe Game On Daily becomes a porn site. I don't know what's happening, but as we struggle and to pay back our loans, we will still strive. We did this. One thing I take, and I'm sorry not to drag this on, but just to make it clear, we really. One thing, no matter what happens later on in the future with Game On Daily or whatnot, me and Asa had really good intentions, like pure intentions, to the point where people said, "You're naive." It's just like you need to think profitability. But if it was for up to us, we would not even monetize our videos. If I could use copyright music, for instance, if it enhanced my quality, but YouTube buries stuff that's copyright flag and stuff like that. So everything that we do is built with good intentions, but it doesn't seem good intentions are good enough. So we're just trying. We're really, really trying. But what we do like is like you guys. It's Mr. Badbit. It's people who actually care. Like Colt, Dealer, these guys have made it. They're successful as well, and they are genuine friends of ours. They really care. They're real people. This community is amazing. Everyone in chat, Lethal Popper, is such a nice guy. I chat to him.
Yeah, gentlemen.
All of you, I love you guys. You guys are actually legit real. Everyone says in the community, "Oh, you're great." I actually mean it, and I read. I jump in everyone's podcast because you're like the family. It's a game changer for us.
Yeah, well, we love you too, brother, and we're definitely glad that you were part of today's epic show. This is going to go down in the books as being a legendary podcast. It went from being Xbox One-on-One to Xbox and the Crew, and I love that about that. Mr. Badbit, why don't we continue your reign of success in booing poor Zemi, who's not here to defend himself? And tell everyone about where they can reach out, strike up a conversation, but more importantly, check out you and your best friend Kyle on the incredible and soon to outweigh, kind of funny games, The Trophy Room.
Oh man, that's a goal to set. Listen, I as much as I love the bad bit circle jerk from earlier, I will say this: Game On Daily, Gaz, you guys over there do some tremendous work.
They do.
And I'm
Unbelievable work.
Envious at the production value you guys have. It's fucking nuts. That site should be the N4G for gamers, because honest to goodness, that site is atrocious, and what you guys are making over there is truly something special. I mean that. Also, Punk Soul, I love talking to you every time, man. It's just so much fun. You got so much enthusiasm. You got so much. I don't know. It's always so great to talk to you, and I love that we've been on this streak recently. Exactly. You can find the Trophy Room over on youtube.com/the Trophy Room. We got the newest episode. Literally, Pong, I did it. I found it out. What the Bethesda deal means for PlayStation, and it's actually pretty damn good. So maybe go check that out if you want to hear more of my voice. And you can find our podcast, The Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast, over there on Apple Podcasts, video version on YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you find your RSS feed, you can find the podcast there. And that's it. That's all I got. Mr. Badbit, Twitter, PS Trophy Room, Twitter. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, Joe. Definitely appreciate it. And we'll see you on Thursday for sure. Warlord 1015 in the chat drops a $5 super chat. Thank you for being here, Warlord. But thank you for your generosity. He said, Phil did a great job with Xbox, but he does not have the killer instinct. And Everborn Saga, hey, here's Everborn. There's a $2 super chat and says, never forget, Xbox got no games. And he's I love it. The trolling is remarkably fun. Pong Soul, listen, dude, thank you. My God, 2 days in a row, you got to hang out on two epic shows that we didn't even know you were going to be a part of, and you killed it as always. What you do on the Xbox Ultimate podcast with that crew, that I think more people need to head over to there and definitely subscribe to our very good friend and his wife Caitlin. Fun Speculation does an amazing job, and it's and again, if you're looking for another positive, well-rounded and well-spoken show that celebrates Xbox, Ultimate Xbox is definitely a show you should subscribe to. But more important, you get a chance to hear Pong Soul Pong. Thanks so much for being here, brother. Tell everyone about what you do on that show and where could people reach out and strike up a conversation on social media.
Well, thanks so much, Boom, for having me back again. And what this show just turned into is a testament to what you have done yourself, sir, and the community that you formed
thanks,
here to have these fantastic people jump in and to finally be on a show with the sauce. Gaz is just it's incredible.
I'll say that, man. You're amazing. You support us all the time. I don't think it ever gets unnoticed as well. And I think I said I cut you, but I meant to say I love you.
I love you too, man. No, it's great. And obviously to be on a show with Bad Bit once again, and feelings mutual there, sir. Always love talking to you and having conversations. It is a great time. And then, of course, Everborn jumping in here and what a talent he is and a great addition to this community. And everybody needs to go check out his work as well. But you can find me everywhere. Pong Soul, Xbox, obviously Twitter. And like Boom said, I'm on Xbox Ultimate with Fun Speculation and Caitlin and 3-Bit. And we just added Psychonauts 8, who's a great part of this community as well. Yep. And that's Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like Boom said, we try to keep it positive, try to keep it fair. We talk about a lot of different things over there. And then you can find me on the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam on Saturday nights. We're celebrating his 200th episode this week.
Wow. That's awesome.
Huge deal. We got some giveaways going on. Check him out on Twitter. He's already tweeted it out. And then obviously with Fuzzy Belvedere and Centurion and Stegarilla as well. Great show, short show, fun time over there. So check us out then. Keep your eyes open. Might have something else in the works coming up here. Might be an announcement soon. So keep your eyes open as well. But always appreciate it. Chat, you guys were amazing. Man, between the super chats and just the pure discussion out there, what a great show. We knew this topic was going to be big. It turned into even something bigger, which is amazing to see. It's definitely organic when something like this happens and we change a whole show to have a specific conversation about something big happening in the industry. So this was fantastic. Can't wait to do it again. Boom. Thank you.
Well, listen, it was great to have you guys a part of the show. Obviously, it just today exploded into, my goodness, a near 2-hour show. Didn't anticipate it because normally this Tuesday program is meant to be, an hour. We get in here, we get out. But again, this was a big topic. This was everyone had some big opinions. And of course, I want to thank everybody for being here. Again, like last night's primetime gaming, my God, back-to-back almost 700 people in both chats. That is epic on a level that a small show like this never really sees. So I want to thank you so much for the outstanding support. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dear old dad taught me. And I think now more than ever, this world needs more of it. And he used to say this: son, treat others how you want to be treated. Also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Xbox One-on-One.